Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Monday Market Outlook. Today, we're going to talk through my forecast for the week. It is Monday morning here in the UK on the 5th of September. I'm going to talk you through the pairs that I'm looking at, the zones that I'm looking at for trades from, what I'm kind of forecasting, what I'm expecting to happen. And yeah, let's have a look. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Chet. I'm a fully funded Forex trader from the UK. I specialize in my own style of Forex called Strong Money Forex, which is loosely based around smart money concepts. The way I've designed my trading is a very simplistic approach so that you can get into these trades much simpler, take profits much easier, and make yourself more money. So let's get into it. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you have liked this video, hit the subscribe button. I'm constantly releasing content and videos for you guys on both trading, how I trade, and my forecasting and what I'm looking at when I'm taking my trades ultimately. So let's get into the charts. Now, Bitcoin, I'm not really going to play around with too much. I'm in a couple of trades at the moment, whereas I would normally kind of clear my charts off, these areas that I'm looking at are still very valid. For me, I'm expecting a push up into this supply area, clearing out these liquidity points here. This is very clearly liquidity here. We have also got liquidity below here as well. So look, we could push down. We could push down ultimately, but I would expect this kind of maneuver first before we clear out, because look, the higher time frame bias is obviously on a downtrend. It makes sense for price to come back up to here to take this supply before it ultimately pushes back down. But let's see what's happened. I've got a couple of trades on here at the moment, so I'm not going to play around with this chart too much. I'm just keeping an eye on it. And for now, I'm looking at longs. We've had multiple breaks of structure here with some decent closes as well. So closes above. So my medium kind of low time frame bias now is bullish. And I would expect at least to get up to here. You see my big winner is there. So that's why we're taking profits on most of my trades if we get up to there. If we do get up to this zone as well, then great. I'll happily take that. But for now, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it and expecting a push up over the next day. From what I understand, it is a holiday over in America today. So I'm not expecting a huge amount on the charts. Personally, I don't trade Mondays anyway, so I wouldn't be really looking at trades on anything other than any cryptos at the moment, but yeah, Bitcoin I'm going to be managing actively. Probably wouldn't be taking any new trades unless I see something really, really clear. EURUSD, let's have a look at that one. So EURUSD, let's clear this chart off. So every week I would strongly advise clearing your chart just so you get a fresh mindset. When you have your drawings on your chart, it can kind of distort what you're looking at. And this obviously is look, we're looking maybe at buys from here. We have swept this low, looking buys from here. As soon as you clear the chart, it kind of changes your perspective, and you can then zoom out and look around at what you're seeing. Similar really to Bitcoin here. A lot of the dollar pairs are in a similar sort of shape at the moment. Where we're looking for trades from, this is a zone that I'll be paying attention to. For now, I wouldn't be looking at any buys, especially not on a Monday. I would expect price just to kind of maybe trickle down, something like that. Maybe push up. I don't know. It's bank holiday. I think it's a holiday, like I said, in America. So I'm not really paying much attention. My alert goes on to here. I'm going to change that to entry zone. Okay. Set up an alert on there. Let's just see what happens ultimately. Let's see where price gets to. That's our kind of 2-hour analysis. Let's have a look at maybe the lower time frames. Do you know what? If we do get some sort of nice pattern like this and, a real clear indication that we're going higher, okay, we could take a trade like this from the 50% of this down move. So maybe the down move is like that. Okay, we could take a trade like that and buying into this supply, but that is ultimately a limited trade. I would be looking at taking this, maybe if I get a 5-hour out of it, maybe, but it's a counter trend move. I want some real clear indication we're going to go higher, such as a double breaker structure. And for me to consider any kind of counter trend move against the higher time frame trend, I need a double breaker structure. That's my kind of minimum requirements. And then I'll start paying attention. When I want a double breaker structure, I want it clean as well. So I want candle closes above this high and then above the next high that it's created. That's the only way I'm going to consider a counter trend move up to here. And if we do catch this trend like this trade like this, we could potentially get a 7R. If we tag the top of the supply, it's a 9R. That's good enough for me to enter into that trade. So I'll be keeping an eye on something like that. I'll leave my drawings on the chart and let's see what happens. Gold. let's tidy this up first. So we'll jump up to one of our higher time frames. Again, on this chart, we had this weak zone here that we were looking at. I will leave that in because that is still valid. Let's get rid of everything else. Let's get rid of all the alerts as well. Let's delete these alerts, remove that. Yep. And then we'll remove that one as well. It's really good, guys, to clear your charts at the start of each week. I would strongly, strongly recommend it. And you get a fresh set of eyes on it. So we're in a downtrend, okay? We've rejected this supply here, okay? So look, we're really clearly in a downtrend. The expectation is that this downtrend continues. This is a weak zone because it did not break this high. If this pushed up past this supply zone, this would be a strong zone, and we'd color it in a different color to show us that it's a zone that can be respected. However, as it didn't break any market structure, we are expecting it to break. So all I'm looking for now on gold, similar on to most of the dollar pairs, is for a push down. Would I take a trade from here? Probably not. Although you may get a push down here, depending on how that push down looks. Let's say you get into a tight position here. Yeah, maybe. It's okay. I'll be keeping an eye on it. Surely. There's nothing in this at the moment that indicates to me I want to get into that. It's really mucky price action. We want something really clean, like a third push, then a break, then a return. So for now, I'm not looking at anything on gold. The market on a Monday will usually set up for the week, but if we do get something like that, I'll happily take that trade all day long. Aussie yen. Let's just zoom out on here. Okay, let's clear this chart. And let's get rid of this line. Move that. Okay. So what we're looking at on Aussie yen. So we've cleared this high, but we are in this weaker zone here. We expect this weaker zone to be swept because, again, although it had a push down, it didn't break this structural low. So this, again, is a weak zone. We could be considering a short from here if we get a really clean entry. There's nothing on this chart that particularly interests me at the moment. Want some more development. And there's no real zones down here that I would look at. Maybe this one. I mean, that's the cleanest zone on this chart, is this one here. That's something that I'd definitely be looking at longs from if we do get down to there. And if we start printing some structure again, which gives us a real clear indication we're going south, double breaker structure, then I could consider a trade like that. But for the time being, I'm not looking at anything on that. Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to take a trade like that. But again, for me to consider this counter trend move, we want a double breaker structure. That's the only way I'm going to look at a sell trade on Aussie yen. Aussie dollar, probably very similar to the other trades we've been looking at. So this is the other dollar pairs. Aussie dollar's in a bit of a strange position. So we have on some time frames had a really good breaker structure here. Let's just clear this chart up. Okay. So on the lower time frames, this is a real good, this is a good zone. Okay. Lots of multiple breaks of structure, and it is untested at the moment. So I would expect some sort of reaction on there. Where we kind of come to in here is on the higher time frame, the trend is very much intact. So from a higher time perspective, this is a weak zone. Median time frame perspective, this is a strong zone. So I would expect some sort of reaction, but ultimately the higher time frame is king. That's what we are expecting. And if we get some sort of buy position in here, I will take it, but I would only expect short profits. I'm not going to expect a big move. If we move up to one of these areas here, maybe look at that. But where it will push down from now is a big question mark. That is the last swing, by the looks of it. Let's mark that on premium discount wise. So, if I'm going to be looking at a zone to trade from, I'm going to be paying close attention to this one. We'll move this alert down here. I'm going to pay close attention to this zone because this is the last swing point that broke this structure. So that's our last swing from high to the low. So that top section I'm going to be considering trades from. I wouldn't trade from there. The reason why I wouldn't trade from there is that this is a weak zone. Why is it a weak zone? Well, because as of yet, it hasn't broken any structure. That is not a zone that would be respected, and it's probably just a zone that's going to be used for liquidity and catching early sellers in. You might get a trade from here, but the same thing is probably going to apply, that this is probably just a trap. You come into there, you sell from there, you place your stop loss here, you set up a trade like this, and ultimately you end up getting tapped in and then stopped out. You look at that and think, oh, bloody hell, got myself a 10-1. And then you come into this zone, you get swept out, and then what happens is the ultimate bigger move does this. Okay, and you don't have to rush these trades, guys. Okay, you can take your time with it. You can have a look at, you know, what's happening in the marketplace. Usually there'll be some form of structure that will form. Any zone that's to be respected will have an exchange of hands. It's not always moves like this where it's just move up, move down. Okay, what will often happen is it will come up, it will play around in here on the lower time frames. You know, anything like, you know, this is a good example. Okay, it didn't just come all the way down and then reject. It started doing this, and, you know, it gave you multiple reasons to go long, and that would have been a counter trend move. This is that double breaker structure we just spoke about. You could have bought it from there. You'd have got yourself into a 2-hour trade, so I'd have got a couple of profits out of there, and, you know, you're happy with that. And, you know, it's respected the supply. It's pushed down from that supply, and if you'd got into that trade with a nice tight entry, you got yourself a 5-hour out of it. But it's a counter trend move, and, you know, it is ultimately limited to, you know, wherever the next supply is. So that's, you know, when you're trading counter trend, everyone always seems to be trading counter trends that are pro trend. The pro trend moves are the ones that are likely to kind of come in and come down. But even the, you know, the pro trend moves, you know, look at that, same thing, up, down, up, down, up, down, breaker structure, entry on there. That's a beautiful trade. If you've taken that like that. Okay, and these pro trade moves, obviously they'll hold for a lot longer. You'd still be in it now. You've got a 15-1. So, you know, price doesn't always come in and drop straight back out. It does do that from sometimes. But if you're going to trade a risk entry, it needs to be pro trend. For example, if you're counter trend trading, if you're looking for a trade to move up to here, I wouldn't be looking for a risk entry. I'll be waiting for a double breaker structure. Okay. That is a confirmation entry. That is as confirmed as you can get an entry. 2 breaks of structure, and then you take the trade. That is the most confirmed really a trade can be, other than a third, obviously. If you're trading a risk entry where you expect it to tag a zone and just drop straight back out, that has to be pro trend. If it's counter trend, you're probably not getting an entry. You're probably going to get stopped out more. So, you know, looking for that for a confirmation entry, let's say you really respected this zone, you could just set a limit order here and wait for it to drop out. Okay, but that's up to you, and that's up to your trading plan. Euro yen, similar to Aussie yen. Let's see what we got. Let's get rid of these last week trades. Yeah, so pretty clear on this one. This is one that I'll definitely be looking for, you know, an entry on here. Really, really clear trend, really clear breaker structure on the higher time frame. Doesn't get much better than this. We are also in quite a nice zone here, so same thing, counter trend. Obviously it's pro trend on the lower time frame, but it is counter trend on the higher time frame. But it's really simple. You just wait for this double breaker structure, and then we take the trade up there, enter here, stop below the low, hold it to this area, and we've got an 8-1. So counter trend moves can be profitable as well, as long as you get the entries right. I'll definitely be looking for an entry on this one. That looks like the cleanest setup out of all of them so far. US 30, I don't think this will move much today because of the bank holiday. Very similar to the dollar pair. So we've changed structure now, as you can see. These old supply zones now, tag, these can't be respected anymore. So you just got to ignore them. We've changed trend. We've broken trend to the downside. We've had a major break of structure now. So we do not consider any of these supply zones for buys from until we get into discount of the range. So the only zones that I'd be looking for a buy from would be this one, which is in discount, this one, which is in discount, and this one, which is in discount. Okay, that's the only way I'm looking for buys. If I want to be selling this marketplace, or we've got a really nice news related zone there, okay, and that has kind of broken structure, kind of not, I'll be looking at both of these zones, this one here, and I'll be looking at this one here. Let's see what we get. So nothing really other than euro yen for today. I don't really trade Mondays, and I'll be paying a close attention to this one. If the setup does come and it's really clean, that one of the reasons why I don't trade Mondays is because normally I don't get the setups. That's kind of the main reason. I will keep an eye on the charts, but you know, it is literally just keeping an eye on it. I'm not actively looking for trades. If I get a really clean setup that meets all my criteria perfectly, I will take it, but it is very rare. And it's not a general rule where I say I'm just not trading Mondays. It's just a case of I generally don't get my setups on a Monday. So thanks for tuning in, guys. If you haven't done so already, make sure you click that like button, pop a comment for me below, and subscribe. I release a weekly market forecast and breakdown every single week. There's content coming out. I've got a course, Beginner to Winner series, which is in the playlist below as well. Thank you for tuning in, and catch you all soon.